2 years ago, D-Man, the Cleveland Browns got Jamie Collins, and I would say he was the best player on that team 2 years ago. Is that fair?
I mean, certainly one of the biggest names.
Right.
But you had to wonder, why did the Patriots get rid of him?
We saw why.
You always do that. And, yeah, I mean, I'm not shedding any tears over Collins' departure. I think anybody who gives max effort on every play has a reasonable chance. Anybody who does that has a reasonable chance of replacing Collins.
Right. It's fair to say he didn't put out all the time.
He was mercurial. I mean, yeah, that's just the way he is or was with the Browns. Maybe that was what he was with the Patriots too. I didn't watch enough Patriots games with him, or I didn't watch enough Patriots defense with him in it. But I assume that was a problem in New England as well. So, I mean, the Browns aren't going to miss Jamie Collins.
All right, well, here's what we do know about Jamie Collins, and that is his guaranteed money is done. There you see he had signed a 4-year contract worth $50 million with the Browns. That was in 2017. Collins had no guaranteed money left on his contract. The Cavs are set to save about $9.25 million with that move. And
good for him.
Good for him is right. All right, so who are they going to get? They got some options out there in the draft and in the free agency. And we can take a look at some of the names. Here's C.J. Mosley. Surprisingly, the Ravens didn't franchise him, so he'll be available, just 26 years old, 5 NFL seasons, and 4 Pro Bowl appearances for C.J. Mosley. We move on. Anthony Barr, who played with the Vikings, 26 years old also. That's the time these first contracts come up. And they're set up this way: 338 tackles and 30 for losses, 13.5 sacks in his career. We continue on to Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks with the Eagles. He is also, by the way, 26 years old, and 254 tackles, 12 of them for losses, and 5.5 sacks in his career. All right, that's the free agent model. Let's take a look at the top linebackers out there available in the draft, although I think that if there's no trading up by the Cleveland Browns, you won't be able to get this guy, one of the top linebackers. That's Devin White out of LSU. And let's take a look at, that's one Devin. Let's take a look at Devin Bush. Devin Bush out of Michigan. All of a sudden, we all become Michigan fans these days. 172 tackles in his 3 years at Michigan, 10 sacks in 3 years. 2018, he was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and a consensus All-American. So what do you think? Which way do you want to go? You've got Mack Wilson also out of Alabama, 4.5 tackles for losses, 65 tackles last year, 113 in his 3 years at Alabama. Second team All-SEC in 2018. What do you do?
Well, first of all, whatever John Dorsey decides, I'm good with, because to me, Dorsey's built up so much cred.
Right.
And so I don't know how he and his team are going to approach this versus what is available in the draft. We know it's a defensive heavy draft. I like Anthony Barr a lot from a distance. And you know, obviously Mosley, we saw him closer in the AFC North, but I've always liked Barr, and so I think he would be a good option. But again,
there's something intriguing about a Raven or a Steeler coming over this way.
Sure, yeah, and I don't know. It depends on how Dorsey and his staff have looked at the draft and what they intend on doing. We can't guarantee they're going to pick 17. They might move it. All right, they might trade that
up
pick.
or down.
Maybe they trade the pick depending on what they can land in free agency.
Right.
So my sense is that a GM who's got cap space like this, and it looks like it's a destination players want to come to, I would think that type of GM, John Dorsey being in charge of the Browns, would let free agency dictate what the draft does. In other words, not get locked in and say, in the draft, we're going to do this, this, and this. Therefore, in free agency, we're going to do this, this, and this.
Well, they still have Plan B and Plan C. If somebody in the draft goes, you have to.
In case you can't sign the guys you want to sign. But the good news is the Browns need to get better on the defensive line and the linebacking core, at the very least.
Right.
And you have plenty of available options, both in the draft and in free agency on both.
Don't you feel good about the chances that you do have options? There are a lot of needs, but not so pressing as they've been in the past with the quarterback and maybe a couple of other positions. I mean, to think that Jamie Collins 2 years ago was the best player on the field for this team.
That's
allegedly
true. You know, it is wonderful when you can have the quarterback position settled. which the Browns haven't had settled for eons.
Right.
You have an edge rusher of tremendous renown in Myles Garrett. Doesn't mean you can't add one, but you've at least got one.
The more the merrier.
And those are coveted. What do they say about today's game? The two positions you want are the quarterback and the guy who can get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
The Browns have both.
They do. So we'll see.